Hey guys, it's Mr. Marabella here with a little math review for physics. Today we're going to be working on right triangle trigonometry, and specifically we're going to be working with SOHCAHTOA, right, or trig function. So again, sine, right, is opposite over hypotenuse, cosine is adjacent over hypotenuse, and tangent is opposite over adjacent. This is just a way to remember all of our trig ratios. Okay. We're working with these two triangles. So first step in these problems, right, similar to Pythagorean theorem, we need to figure out what side's the opposite, what side's the adjacent, what side's the hypotenuse. So looking at a triangle, all right, we're going to try and figure that out. I like to start by first figuring out what the hypotenuse is, because I think that's usually the easiest side. Where the confusion comes in is with the opposite and adjacent. So one thing we know, right, hypotenuse is always the longest side. Right? Sometimes the pictures we're given can be a little bit deceiving. So the way I like to confirm which side is the hypotenuse is it's always the side that is across from the right angle. So looking at it, 6 is across from the right angle, that's going to be my hypotenuse in this triangle. Then the next part is deciding, right, opposite and adjacent. Adjacent means next to. Right? The angle in question is 34 degrees. There are two sides that are adjacent to the 34-degree angle. One is 6, the other one is x. Since we already know that 6 is the hypotenuse, that means that x has to be the adjacent side. And by process of elimination, the unknown side is opposite. Okay? Now, next step is choose which trig function am I going to use to solve for my unknown information. So looking at it, I want to find the adjacent side. I know what the hypotenuse length measure is. So I look up here at SOHCAHTOA, right? Cosine involves the adjacent and hypotenuse. So I'm going to use cosine here. So cosine of my angle equals the adjacent side of the hypotenuse. Sub in our known values once we've set up our trig function, our trig equation. Cosine of 34 degrees equals x, the adjacent side length, over 6, the hypotenuse. And then to solve for x in this one, we're just going to multiply both sides of the equation by 6. So x equals 6 times the cosine of 34 degrees. Right? Or in physics, we like to deal with the decimals. X is approximately 4.97, or we're going to round here to 5.0. Okay. Second example we have here. A little bit different orientation. It's going to require a little bit different math once we get to setting up our trig function. So looking here, again, just like we started the last problem, we're going to determine which side is the opposite, which side is the adjacent, and which side is the hypotenuse. Right? Hypotenuse is across from the right angle, so here we are. X is going to be my hypotenuse. Right? Adjacent means next to. There are only two sides next to the 65-degree angle. Right? X and then this unknown, so there's my adjacent side. Right? Which by process of elimination means that 6 here in this triangle is the opposite side length. So looking at it, I have to choose. I know the opposite side. I want the hypotenuse. I'm going to use sine for this one. Go ahead and set it up. Sine of my angle equals the opposite side over the hypotenuse. We'll sub in our known values. Sine of 65.5 degrees equals 6 divided by x. Now it's a little bit different in this one than the previous one. The previous one, right, x was already in the numerator, I had to just multiply by 6. Here, x is in the denominator, right? So dividing by 6 is not going to work here because x will still be in the denominator. And so here's my suggestion. I want to make the left-hand side a fraction. Right? Now what I have here is one fraction equals another, it's a proportion. Right? I can cross multiply. So I have x times this quantity, sine of 65 degrees, 65.5 degrees, equals 6. Right? This is just some decimal number. I don't know what it is. When I punch it in the calculator, I'll figure it out. But to solve for x, I'm going to divide both sides by that number. Sine of 65.5 degrees. Okay, so x is equal to 6 divided by the sine of 65.5 degrees, or in physics, like I said, we like the decimals, right? X is approximately equal to 6.6.